What it do, babies? Thank you for tuning in for season 2, episode 6, with my special surprise co-host, Lizzie.
No relation to McGuire.
For real though. And then my other special guest, the Toni Bradshaw.
Woo! Hi,
Go
guys.
crazy. Now get crump with it. Now get crump with it.
We need to cheers to
To the
that.
titty dance.
We're spilling.
Okay.
But we do need to cheers to that.
Cheers, girls.
Salud.
Sorry, babe.
Happy Thursday.
Cheers. Happy Thursday.
You made it through the week.
We did.
Woo, that'll put some unnecessary hair on my chest.
Thank you for joining us during this
Thanks for
time.
having me. I appreciate it.
And just making your, scheduling time out and actually being here and wanting to just really talk about everything.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
For
It means
being
a
on the
lot.
platform.
It means a lot. Yes. So I don't even know where to start. Really, I guess. How do you feel about what is going on right now as an Afro-Latina woman? Would you say? I mean, let's start with George Floyd.
God, where do we start, right? So
Can I put this here?
It's a lot going on.
there is a lot going on, and I live in the center of all of it. So I'm literally since
In Hollywood.
Friday. Yeah, I live in Hollywood. So since Friday, I've seen nothing but looting, and I can't even sleep at night. There's helicopters and sirens like 24 hours with the curfew. And it's gotten really bad. So I don't know if you know this, but I had a pop up on Melrose. And that place doesn't even exist anymore.
Saw
They
you
burned
write
it down.
about that, yeah.
So it hurt my heart to see, like, somewhere that I spent my blood, sweat, and tears for my brand to go up in flames. So this hit a little bit harder it hit close to home. That's what I'm saying. So it sucked. But aside from that, I want to make a point very clear to this because a lot of people gave me shit for talking about that.
I've read stuff like that too. That they're like, you focus on the looting. This is
Yeah,
not about it.
And let's be clear, I'm not focused on the looting. It's the fact that it's like I'm a person of color. I'm also a person that's transgender. So I'm that's two communities that are always being scrutinized.
Yes.
And I work my ass off to be able to have a storefront like that, and for it to go from 100 to 0 in like a second from people that are in my community. That's what hurt. That's what hurt, and it hit close to home because I'm like, you guys, I get it. We're all pissed. I'm pissed. I'm sure you guys are pissed too. So it's like there is a bigger picture, and then materialistic things can be replaced and lives can't. However, fucking up my shit is not going to bring George back, or is also not going to get us anywhere closer than what we want. You want to make a difference? Go vote. Go put people in office that look like you and I. You know what I'm saying? That's what you want. If you want your voice heard, then put people in office that look like you and I, that can get your message across, that can relate. Because if we keep electing these people that are, the Donald Trumps of the world, we're not going to get anywhere closer to than what we want. So that's where I stand. Exactly. I get a lot of shit. Literally, I've been so vocal about this whole situation on social media that I would say 70% positive feedback and then the 30% negative. And the 30% negative, I think, is just people that are just ignorant to when it comes to like being both a business owner and a person of color. Like, it sucks because once this first happened, of course, I stated like this is wrong. What the police did in Minneapolis was horrible. Obviously, we can all agree with that. No one is blinded by that. But it's like, what are we gonna do about it now? Like, yes, protest. Yes, voice your opinion. Be angry. Everyone should be angry because it was.
Do you agree with peaceful protests, or do you also agree with the rioting? Because I've been reading or just checking out, watching stuff, this and that, that's saying like it takes the riots also and the peaceful protests. I've seen some stuff to really get the point across. I've seen that, like going back to like the Rodney King and all that. They said that the riots, they think altogether, it just really makes us stand. How do you feel about both sides of that, or do you think only peaceful protests?
I think the peaceful protest isn't enough, and I'll be honest with you.
Isn't enough?
It's not enough.
Okay,
no, because we've been peaceful this long,
Yes.
and nothing has happened.
There's no changes.
Change.
Yeah,
they're not like making an effort to make a change.
Yeah.
So let's fuck some shit up.
You're right.
look, lo and behold, now you're getting your response that you want.
Yep.
However,
True,
don't fuck up your community you live in, because hello, you have to go back to that. And the small business that you're fucking up are the same people like you and I. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not, I'm not Target. I'm not Walmart. I can't recoup my losses like that.
Yeah,
I'm a small business that I
or even
fund.
black small business owners too.
Everyone. I'm talking about anybody of color.
Yeah.
I'm talking about anybody of color that's a small business. Do you know how hard it is to get a loan from the bank to trust us with such a large dollar amount? You know
Even
what I'm
to
saying?
get your walls boarded up now,
Girl,
that
just
takes
to even
money.
put up,
like, just to put up some
just to keep the lights
boards,
on,
like,
it's so expensive. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what I'm saying is that people need to, if they're going to riot, make sure you're doing it to the people that can take that L, and that it's not a person that looks like you and I. You know what I'm saying?
Like Rodeo, how they just looted Rodeo.
Loot that shit up. I'm like, Gucci, Louis. Did you hear about Virgil?
No.
You know Virgil Abloh?
Yeah.
So Virgil Abloh is the creative director for Louis
Okay.
Vuitton men's division. He also is the creative director for Off-White, the creator of Off-White, the brand. So a few days ago, people were putting up money for people's bail that were being arrested for protesting after curfew or whatever. So Virgil decided to donate $50, 50 American dollars to the bailout fund. Now, not only is that an insult to everyone that's in the streetwear community, because they obviously support his brand and spend thousands of dollars on sneakers, belts, those tacky caution belts, girl. I can't even get in. We'll go in there later. But like, you know what I'm saying? The fashions. I actually used to love the brand, but up until now, when I saw this, I'm like, that's a huge slap in the face to people of color, because it's like, he's black. He's as black as my jacket, and I'm just like, and he said it himself. So that's a huge insult. And yes, he's trying to do the PR version of it and trying to like clean it all up and sweep it under the rug. And it's like, no, mean what you say and say what you mean. That $50 donation spoke volumes about how you feel about the culture. Fuck the people. This is how you feel about the culture. That we're worth $50 or less.
Yeah.
Nothing on your website is worth.
It's like a penny.
It's like literally, like when Drake, one of your best friends, is donating $100 million, and all your other friends are donating millions and millions of dollars to that fund. Why do you feel like $50
even so that
is
to be
enough?
known is like saying something. Like if you donated that, but
Girl,
if you're letting it be known, that's kind of like you really don't give a fuck.
That's why I'm like, go loot Louis Vuitton. Take all that shit. Take it home. Matter of fact, if you have any of it, I got cash.
I saw another post because I've pretty much been keeping up on social media. The news, I watch a bit of it, but I don't. I mean, a good amount. I don't sit there though all day long. Because for
it's training.
Yes, and it is. And I don't want to. I'm not being left out, but I also just don't want to just be all day long, 24/7. You know, it's just like it's a lot to take on. You know what I mean? Like you still got to just kind of step back for a second, take a breath, still find yourself, and then just listen and learn is how I feel like. Because I'm just becoming more aware, and I feel like this is a time for those who didn't really know too much about everything. It's just you just listen, you watch, you learn, and I do stand with Black Lives Matter. Like, I don't think anyone's skin color is any way. Like, we all bleed red, and I think that's all that matters. So I just feel like I don't know, it's just a confusing time. How have you been, like, have you gone out to protest? And like I said, everyone does it in their own way. How do you feel about it? Did you post the black square on Instagram?
I did post the black square.
I know that's gotten some controversy as well, because they're like, I've seen people write, well, why'd you post black square? Do more. And it's just like, everyone's, like, how do you feel about it?
So I posted the black square, obviously, to support everyone that was doing it as well, and like to signify that I obviously am an ally and obviously a person of color that agrees with everything that's going on. However, I did think, like a few hours later, I was like, wait, if we're all using the same hashtag, that means
it's gonna kind of silence everything.
Right? I'm like, all this did them a favor by letting the media manipulate like their narrative, as opposed to us trying to like get our word across.
Celebrities were saying that too.
Yeah,
they're like, this is they're like, at the end of the day, the government knows what they're doing. Like somebody started this, and the blackout movement who really started it, and then they thought like they're just censoring everything. Right. They're censoring so you can't keep up with what's really going on. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
That's why someone's plan. Really? Do you think it was somebody somebody put it in motion? Where like, let's just
absolutely, because the media always wants. Think about it like this.
Yes.
The reason why I do tune into social media over the news is because the media, mainstream
it's
media,
so correct, and so I agree with you.
Mainstream media loves to manipulate the way what we see and the narrative.
100%.
Whereas social media, you're getting it from hands-on from people that are upset, that are pissed, that are recording. There is no censoring. There is no editing. There's no face tune for that. It's like, this is raw, live, and direct, and this is what's happening. So you can't manipulate that. Now I can't change my mind because I'm seeing it for real.
Yeah, and for example, if you see somebody who you look up to, and you see them posting a black post, you're gonna want to do it too. But it's like, do you really know what that means? Do you really know what that's feeding into, or do you know if that's censoring, the black community, or what does it even mean? But you do it because you see it's happening so much.
Absolutely.
Instead of educating yourself and be like, okay, why are we putting a black picture up and just posting it like that and saying hashtagging Black Lives Matter? Why am I doing that? And it's like, so many people fall so easy to like just go with the fad and go with like what the mass, what everybody else is doing. And it's like, no, educate yourself and know what's really happening.
Right.
I don't know. But how do you feel about people saying all lives matter? How do you feel about that? Because I know there's a lot of controversy with that too. Like, it's like this whole thing started with the Black Lives Matter with George Floyd, but why are people saying all lives matter? And how do you feel about that?
So I think the people that are saying all lives matter, there's two ways, because I also believe that all lives matter, but let me show you in what context I believe in that sense. So in that regard, let me say that. Okay. So the people that are saying all lives matter are people that are not black, that are saying, well, my life matters too, and yes, it does, Karen. Yes, it does, Karen. Your life does matter, sweetie. However, although right now all the black lives are being killed
so much.
and burned and terrorized. So right now we need to focus on those particular lives. Yes. But when we get to your situation, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Exactly. Right now, these are not it. Yeah. So I actually got a bunch of shit because I said the same thing, but I said it in a different context. So with me, because I have a huge urban following on social media, I have to be very careful what I say. However, I'm still going to be myself and opinionated. I'm going to say what I say and mean what I say and own it. So I am trans and I'm Afro-Latina. So I stated the other day on social media, it was like, because I was going through the shade room. I don't know if you guys like follow that brand.
Do you follow them? I don't.
I actually do. Okay. TSR.
So I was going on it, and
you
went viral on your comment too. On all your three, all your
like
comments.
restate your comment.
I normally go. See, that's what gets me my flack. I talk my like how I feel, and it gets me a bunch of shit. But whatever, I don't care. I have a thick skin. So anyway, so somebody had posted under a trans girl getting beat up by a group of black men for no reason at some situation. I really don't know the backstory of it, but I just know that she got beaten by like 8 black guys, and she's black herself. So I was reading through the comments, and I was just like, I'm gonna be very real with you. The urban and the black, the Hispanics, they're very taboo when it comes to my community, the LGBT community. So it's like they're allowed to lust us, but they're not allowed to love us, and that sucks because I have so many guys.
That's actually very good. Like that you bring, it's a good point.
Yeah, I have so many guys that
so true.
People know who I shall be. I'll make them anonymous. Okay. That like are in my DMs or in my texts and like in my bedroom, like everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And out of respect for them, obviously, like I'm gonna keep that to myself. But what sucks is that it's like, yeah, you're allowed to fuck us, but you're not allowed to like love us. You won't hold our hands. You won't present us as your girlfriend, and that sucks. So as I was reading and scrolling through those comments, it really hit a nerve because I'm just like, you guys are saying, oh, fuck her, that's what she gets for like lying to these men. I'm like, you guys don't know the backstory.
You don't even know everything.
You don't know anything.
On.
You guys are just making assumptions because you have this stigma that all trans.
Did you watch the video of that?
Absolutely, and it was heartbreaking to see that because she's young.
So she was protesting.
No.
Oh.
This was, I guess the little backstory was that she had gotten into a fender bender at a gas station with a guy, and she tried to do the lawful thing and say, okay, so here's my insurance, and I guess he figured out that she was trans. So that struck a whole nerve in him and his friends, and they just like attacked her. And that's what sucks. So she was like, all she was doing was trying to make things right because they got into a fender bender.
Wow.
So my thing, as I was reading those comments on the Shade Room about that particular situation, I was taken back because I couldn't like not say nothing when all these people of color are saying, well, that's what she deserves for lying. I'm like, what? Like, my lifestyle is not a lie. My lifestyle is who I am. And just because you're uncomfortable with it, just say that you're uncomfortable with it. So then that's why I commented. What I said was, it's so funny to me to see that you guys are pounding on your chest saying George Floyd, like, you know, all that Black Lives Matter, but trans Black lives don't matter, or trans brown lives don't matter, or like those lives, those are insignificant to you because you don't understand or agree with that lifestyle. But let it be George Floyd, and of course you're gonna pound your chest and protest. But I'm like, what about her? And
or
how
all
is
the
that?
people that have been getting fucked up that are trans.
Right.
Like, that's
I'm like,
been
happening.
how is that fair? Like, tell me the logic behind that, because it starts within our own community. Like, if you can't stand up for me, like, then what are we doing here? Like, then you're just, it's one-sided, and it sucks.
It's fucked up.
So I definitely had to say that. And of course I got a bunch of flack because people were like, what do you mean all lives matter? I said all brown and black and every person that's color, lives matter. It doesn't matter if I'm trans, if I'm a lesbian, if I'm gay, if I identify as non-binary, all of that. That's what I was saying. And like, it was cool to see that a lot of people actually broke through them, because they were like, oh my God, yes, you're so right. Absolutely. Like, we can't make exceptions within our own community. It should be all Black Lives Matter.
Amen.
It's exhausting.
You're like, that part.
The trans stuff.
But I was gonna ask about don't you think about the girl that got assaulted, the trans, the guy that did attack her. I feel like for the people who do kind of attack the most, I feel like they're the ones that are in the closet about it. That's what like. Why be so? I mean, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for other people, but I wonder why be so angry. You know what I mean? Like why attack them?
Yeah,
like,
and it's not like trans people are out there attacking people. Like, why are they so
he's
targeted?
Probably either
curious.
who knows? Yeah,
It's like, what's wrong with you?
Or he wants to be, or he's gone there, or he's not. He's not in full, like, you know, not really ready there to take that next step. But that's how.
So it's like they almost have a resentment or something.
Exactly, but within themselves. So they should deal with their demons in their own time, in their own closet. Right. It's like, don't take that on me because I'm out and proud and living my truth. Like, that's what sucks. So. But
I've always felt like people are like that when they see somebody that's doing them, that's not giving a fuck, that's just living their best life. I feel like people don't like that.
No, they don't.
They don't like that
because it makes them question their own insecurities.
It's like, why are you so happy?
Like, that's not fair, because I want to be that happy too.
Yes.
Or at least be honest with myself with who I am.
Yeah.
Before we dive more into Pride Month, I do want to ask about how there's been random like sets of bricks dropped off. Have you seen that in major cities? So what do you both?
I didn't even know that.
Like,
what's going on?
So there's like random bricks in major cities, like tons and like not tons, but like stacks and stacks of bricks in like the major protest points being randomly dropped off, and nobody knows where they're coming from. They're like, oh wow, because I saw
there's no construction site.
Even I was watching Bobby Hundreds on Instagram, and he was even saying like all of Fairfax got. It's not about the looting, but either way, I'm like, it's the protesting. Like, looting and protesting is completely different.
Right.
And I agree with that. There's opportunists and there's people standing for the cause.
Absolutely.
And even if they are standing for the cause, they could like. It goes a lot of ways, but it just leads back to like, where did these people randomly just be like, oh, I got 2 bricks? Like, it's like just rip them
like
off
you didn't
the
go to
wall.
Home Depot and say, hey, today I'm in the market for bricks. Like, no, I get
it.
So
that's just another point I wanted to bring up with you guys.
No, I definitely think that that's a hidden agenda. I don't think it's police. I think it's white supremacists.
I feel like it's people that are just trying to like insinuate shit. Like, they're just like, you know what? Let's get this going even more so that we look better. You know, I don't know. That's just how I felt, because I did see one video of this girl. She was this. I don't want to say like any races, but she was this white girl, and she gave a brick to somebody, and they're like, why are you giving this brick to people? Like, why are you giving bricks to people that are already going through things? Like, what does that make? How does that make you a better person to give them a brick to throw?
I think it's white supremacists and anarchists that are enticing this, because they know that the media, the mainstream media, is going to go ahead and say, oh, well, it's the blacks and the browns throwing the bricks. So it's like, because they can like kind of like throw the stone and walk away and, oh, my hands are clean. What do you mean? I never did that.
It's like, I didn't
Whereas,
do anything.
like, obviously, we don't really have the resources to go and let me go buy it, but no, like, we're in quarantine. We're the whole pandemic outside. Save our coins for like food and actual resources that we need. You know, no one's gonna fucking buy bricks to what? To loot? Girl, buy. So like, to me, it's such a hidden agenda by them, just to make us look even worse, you know? And it's like, and shout out to the people who actually didn't take the bait, because all that is, it's bait. It's just fucking bait. And a lot of people have, like, like you and I took notice and we're like, you know what? No, we're gonna, instead of put them on, leave them right where they are, or make it as a barrier so that the cops can't kick us out when the curfew's over. So
I just want to take the time to say thank you, because I'm just a co-host, but I also want to say thank you because you're being very open right now. And it's hard to do that because we have so many questions about what's happening. We don't know the exact truth. We don't, because the government is telling us one thing, the news is telling us one thing, social media is telling us another thing. So we don't always know exactly what's really happening, right. or just black and white stuff. You know, we don't know everything in between. And for you to be on here and telling us your opinion, I just want to thank you for being here, because that's hard. That's hard. Yes. And to get the backlash you're getting and being strong like that, like,
girl,
cheers.
To me, it's like I've been called worse by better. So I always say, I'm like, these
have
names
you experienced any racism or police brutality, or kind of like choosing you out police, anything in that type of matter yourself?
I've never experienced police brutality. Let me knock on something.
Where's my man? Can knock on his wood.
Yes. Have you had the racism against
absolutely.
you, or like name calling,
racial
or
profiling,
discrimination,
racism, all that? And it's.
Would you mind if you don't, if it's not too hard for you? Would you mind sharing some of that?
For sure. I went to an all Korean elementary school. I was the only person of color there. So there, I noticed it just within that community. I was like, they don't want to hang out with me. I'm like a person that is so not in their element. So, and then I'm a stylist. So like I used to go to like rodeo to pull for celebs, like athletes and clients like that. So when I walk in there and I look like me, they're not like, there's no way this bitch has the coins to buy the things that you buy.
You're like, not to joke, but like you're like that Julia Roberts.
Right.
When she's
like,
shopping, they're like, you don't even know the price.
Like, girl, you can't afford it.
And then when she came back in, she's like, you wish I would have shopped here. You wish. You don't want my money. You don't want this black card.
I actually have a funny story about that. So one of my clients is Shawnee O'Neal. She's Shaq's ex-wife. So I had to dress her for the BET Awards that particular year. Yeah. And I went to Versace because she wanted these shoes and this dress. So I go, and no one would wait on me. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just pull everything myself off the rack. And I'm just like, okay, cool. So when I get to the register, they're like, who helped you? And I'm like, nobody. And they're like,
crazy.
Not one person. I was like, no. And they're like, oh, okay. What size do you need these in? I'm like, okay. You know, I like then they warmed up, because I'm like, I'm actually pulling for a client. And I hate having to drop the resume or who I am, because it's like, it shouldn't be like that.
It shouldn't be that way.
It should be like, okay, well, you're
a client,
customer,
so let's
not like, oh, well, she doesn't have the budget.
Do you know
it sucks.
It shouldn't be that way, and I always wonder, really,
so stupid.
Why is it that way? But at the same time, people who work in the store, like, I'm like, do you own this store? Like, who are you?
You're behind the counter.
Okay, so they own ego trips. They're like, you know what? It has nothing to do with me, but who do you know?
Like you're not Donatella and you're not Gianni. Therefore, act your place.
Yeah, it's like,
act your salary.
I'm sure the owner wouldn't do that.
No,
that's good.
Act your salary, sis, because you're behind the counter. I'm in front of it. Now,
for real.
Go get me this shoe in a 41.
That's hilarious.
I had to, girl, let me tell you that. Just being a stylist and being able to work with like people like that, like I've had to literally humble so many people, because I'm just like, I'm so down to earth. Like, I'm just like, I don't care who I know, how much money I make, or who I know that's super rich and stuff. Like, to me, like, I'm still that bitch from fucking Hobart Boulevard that grew up in Koreatown that will eat a street taco and fucking get her nails done at the local situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, bitch, I am not bougie like that when it comes to like stuff like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm keeping it 1,000.
Exactly.
And even if I ever become a multi-millionaire, I'm still going, girl, we're going to bargain shop.
We're going to go to Santiago.
I might hit up Fashion Nova every now and then.
Definitely.
Mix it with the Louboutin
like
Cardi
B's
or two.
Cardi B's like, I'm rich. I still be wearing my Fashion Nova.
Yes. Well, she gets paid, so that bitch is still working. But
either way, I believe in it.
But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'll still, I'll go to the alley and shit, you know, pick up some hair, get your nails done at the Slauson. I'm with it. I'm with all that.
So when you've been shopping for clients, they'll treat you some type of way in the stores and like in the designer stores. Is that your only experience with
racism?
In a way, I mean, it can go,
Well, I mean,
lightly,
when I
more
was
deeply, just anyways.
when I first moved out of my parents, that was hard too, to get housing. And I know a lot of people have problems with that because they racial profile you. They're like, okay, well, bitch, can you afford it? Girl, I'm like, I might not have the best credit, but I can, I'll make do when the time comes on the first or the third or whatever you want to pay this rent. You know what I'm saying? So I did notice that when I first moved out of my parents' house. But I hear a lot of people have that epidemic.
I want to ask a question. When I came on Mama D's podcast Jazzy's podcast last week, Mama D asked me, she was like, if you could say anything to the world about, whatever the podcast was about, what would you say? So I want to ask you if you could say anything to the world about what's going on in regards to the coronavirus, in regards to this whole George Floyd stuff and Black Lives Matter, everything. If you could give a message to the world, what would you say about everything?
Girl, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Whatever really comes to heart off top.
Just something from your heart. What would you say if you had any chance to deliver a message to the world?
I would say no matter what situation you're in, what circumstance you're in, what tax bracket you're in, be sensitive to the times and to people's their outcry, like listen, really listen, and try to relate. I know some white people are privileged, well, not some, most are privileged, so they can't relate, but it's like all I'm asking for is the opportunity to open your ears, your eyes, and your heart and your mind to what's going on right now, because it may not affect you directly, but indirectly you're being affected by it.
Wow, I love that. Thank you.
The world and so that is another drink.
Hear that world?
That is.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Where's your cocktail?
I've been listening this whole time. I'm in this.
God.
Let's focus now back to
you.
No, to you guys. I'm just talking.
Back to the so how did you know, or when did you know that you were Happy Pride Month, by the way?
The Rainbow Coalition is out.
Normally, is this the time that like Long Beach Pride would be happening and all that?
Long Beach, LA,
so
New
normally,
York,
so
San
like
Fran.
so Pride is for lesbians, gays, and trans. That's the community.
The entire rainbow community.
Okay, so that's all lesbian.
Anybody that doesn't follow under a straight.
Yeah, okay, and then do lesbian, gays, and trans. Now, do most of them hate to be called? Do some of them be like, we just like what we like? Like, don't put us in a label category.
Yeah. So right now we're living in a time where everyone's so fucking sensitive. Like, we get it. It's
That's
almost
true.
like
It's
a
so
penis
true.
that just ejaculated. It's sensitive. That type of sensitive.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
That was actually really.
people are actually like either super like, oh no, put me in this category, or don't
call
give
me
a label.
anything. They're like,
Right. So it's
I like what I like. And
right. It's a case
connection.
by case situation.
And there's nothing wrong. I don't think anybody's wrong. Everybody in their own sense is right. That's why I'm like, anyone speaks on anything like that's your opinion, and that's you, and you're right.
Right. And I'm just like, to me, it's like, okay, some people don't like labels. I like labels because I feel like, bitch, put me in a category so I know exactly where I fall. I like you, you like me. Let's like a family. People don't like that,
Makes
but I'm
it
like,
easier.
Right, because it's like, okay, gay,
now I know
bi,
who I fuck
schmi,
with.
die, hi.
Like they know where they're starting
bye.
with right out the gate.
Yeah.
When they're
Right,
right out the gate, like, you know what it is.
Right.
You want to continue, then let's fall in love.
You
I don't
like
want
me,
to
don't
unwrap
like
this
me.
shit. Let me know up front what I'm getting. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like,
Yes,
I don't need no guessing games. But yes, this is Pride Month. So this would be West Hollywood, Long Beach, San Francisco, New York, Miami, all type of prides. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we can't do that. So we're celebrating quarantine style.
Pride is so huge too.
I miss Pride.
My mom's been taking me since I was maybe 14.
Shout out to Mama D.
Yes.
Shout out to Mama D.
Shout out Mama D.
I think younger than that. Remember there was a carnival we went with your dad?
Do you remember
that?
I was with Mara. It wasn't with my dad.
No, I've gone before with your dad. We've gone to Pride when you were littler.
Yeah.
I think we might have been living on
Girl, you were going to
Fairfax.
Pride from the womb.
She didn't even know.
Yeah, I think you thought it was like a carnival because they had rides back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
They still
Yeah,
have
So-
them.
when you were little. Yeah.
Pride is, I know how big it is. Like, it's so huge. We've gone
Straight
most of the time. and I know it's just like it's a very big part of the LGBT.
Girl,
you can't just say gay community. No, does that not cover it? And I'm no meaning to offend anybody. I will never.
You're not, girl. You're fine. It's
LGBT.
LGBTQ plus.
Yeah, LGBTQ plus.
It's more accurate.
Or you call us the alphabet people.
Okay, that's easier, huh?
My rainbow babies.
Well, although some people might get offended by that, but I don't give a fuck. And we're here, and I'm here, and I'm queer, so we're good. So let's keep moving. Wait, get excited. So guess what? So this month on the 14th, for the first time ever, Pride and the Black Lives Movement are collaborating, and we're doing our first big actual festival in West Hollywood. So the 14th, set your calendars.
Yes, we'll be there.
Please come.
We'll be there.
So beautiful.
Literally in 2 weeks, the 14th.
How did that even happen?
Well, because the Black Lives Movement reached out to Pride. Pride organizers were like, this is the perfect time for two
big
separate entities that are huge, that are both being affected by what's going on now, to collide and then do this big thing. So that's what we're doing. So it's going to be I literally reached out to all my girlfriends. I was like, bitch, if you're not there,
so good.
Your gay card, your trans card, your lesbian card, your black card, everything gets revoked.
Yes. I have a question. Go ahead, Mama D.
Like, because of all the rioting, I feel like the rioting and all the looting,
maybe on the 14th,
to be in such a large group of people that's standing against that, you know what I mean, standing for it. I mean, obviously, like, I haven't done any of the, in regards to like the going down to downtown LA, the protesting, any of that, because it turns violent. So you don't have no fear about, because the first thing I was thinking about was, fuck, like, you're getting all Pride people. And then Black Lives Matter, and already Black people are mad. Now I'm throwing in the gay people with that. I'm already thinking like, I'm just thinking more rioting.
You know why I'm not
You don't
scared?
think about that?
Fuck no. You know why I'm not scared? Because every year that I do the Pride Festival, there's the anti-gay people there.
There always is, right?
It's just approval.
God doesn't like this. You're gonna burn in hell. And like I said earlier, I've been called worse by better. So it's like, bring it on.
Like
everything,
you're giving me a reason to be
all
here.
you're doing is amplifying my fuel to want to speak out.
To dig deeper into that, the people who are, we can't speak for them, but what's your take on anti-black, anti-gay, anti all that? Like, do you think that it starts in the home, or like how they're raised, or in the area that they're raised, or do people just come into that on their own? And there's no judgment on that either. Like, I'm just like, what's your take on it? Do you think it starts when they're a child in the home, and that's put in their head, and that's how they feel, and they're raised up to believe this certain, or is everyone different? Like, maybe what's your take on it?
So I definitely think that obviously your upbringing has a huge influence on it, but watching some of the videos recently on TikTok and Instagram, I've seen a lot of people that are not of color go against their parents on this topic, go against their religion on this topic, go against their work, go against everything that their livelihood basically, and they're going against it. So it can't.
We see so many pictures
Definitely.
too.
It's so deeper. So it's like,
you never are. Yeah.
No, you're not born a racist. No one's born with hate in their heart.
That's so
You're
true.
taught that.
Yes.
But it's up to you to accept that lesson,
That's
or to make it your own narrative.
Really good.
And that's exactly what I believe. I believe that you choose to be a racist. I can't choose to be anything that I am. I can't choose to be trans. I can't, like, this is not a choice. This is who I was born as. It's just, it developed as I was more into an adolescent and now into an adult. So, but no one chooses to be a racist. That happens from. Well, I mean, it is.
So you think it always stems from somewhere, or you think something influenced that person at some time that they chose this certain decision or this certain path on that person? Like on that person, like they chose, like they came across something that they're like, you know what, I'm gonna be racist, or I'm not gonna like gays, or I'm not gonna like this and that.
I think people choose to be ignorant,
sometimes,
and they're not. I think people are. Okay, so here's what it is.
They're one-sided.
People are ignorant. And they don't want to take the time to learn about a certain type of person. So instead of getting to learn the type of person that this community is, they're like, you know what, I'm gonna shut this off because my beliefs are this, that, and that. It's like a standard. And it's like
it's like my way or no way.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm not exposed to that, and I don't want to learn about that. Therefore, that's just bad. That's horrible. That's bad. But we all know that everybody is with a right mindset knows the difference between right and wrong. So like,
very true.
I think that's a hard thing to say, because for me to somebody I think in my head when people make decisions, I'm like, that's common motherfucking sense, motherfucker. But to someone else who they maybe never lived the lifestyle or heard of it, to them it's not common sense because it's nothing they've ever experienced. So when it comes to the belief systems, like it is like, first of all, like what country do we live in, right? Yeah. What state do we live in? Right. What city? And then what part of the city? You from the north or the south? Right. The east or the west,
all
right?
That plays into effect.
Exactly. So like that all plays into like, I'm from a Latino family, you know, and what generation am I? Because Latinos in the prison system don't get along with the black people,
right? Yeah.
You know, and so and me coming from more of like the gangster Latino area, like I was raised like, you know, we don't like blacks, we don't date blacks, da da da. Yeah. And as I got older, I was like, I had black friends at school, right? Yeah. You know, like I'm like, okay, like this isn't right, but the family doesn't think that.
You touched on a very important subject, because a lot of people of color are also racist against people of color, because
we're all the minorities at the end of the day.
All of our like, it's
and
like
I hate when people try to play like, like when they try to be like, we're all, I would say like Latinos. Would you say Asians are a minority?
Absolutely.
Like we're all minorities, and then they try to play against, you know, blacks. I'm like, we're all minorities. Like and then at the end of the day, we're all the same. It's like, how are you trying to play against one another? Like now the minorities are not standing together. Like we should be. Not everyone, not separated. But not everybody, because right now we are standing. You know, some people are standing together, like Latinos for black, Asians for black, Filipinos for black.
Why does it have to be like in general? This is my thing. Like, why do we have to just identify as race? Like, we're all one.
Why can't it just be people for people?
We're all one.
Yes.
People for people. I feel like because we're exposed to the fact that there is race, or they are black, or they are Mexican.
So good.
That's what automatically puts in your mind, you know what, they're different. They're different.
But you know what? Mama D talked on a very real subject when she said that, because our older generations were taught a certain standard. Yeah. So they feel like they need to bestow that to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. But guess what? This is where it stops. This is where it ends.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
This is where it stops.
Between
us,
Generation Z,
and everybody else.
Your Generation Z.
It's stopping here.
This is why this year is happening. People are saying, "Oh, this year is a curse. This year is the worst thing that could happen to the United States." No, this is a wake up call. This is a wake up call.
Everyone's finally speaking up now.
Yes,
and we're talking back to our moms. We're talking back to our dads.
Yes.
We're like talking back to the police. No, this isn't right.
Oh my God.
Before we were taught, you know, don't speak.
No,
don't speak up. You don't have a voice.
Don't talk back to the police.
Don't talk back to your parents.
Don't talk back to anybody.
You know, like just anything in general, injustice in any way.
And that brings up, have you guys ever had a family member, because you're Afro-Latina.
Absolutely.
And then we're Latina.
I'm not.
So have you ever? You don't have to say who, but like, have you ever had a family member that's ever been racist and been like,
yes.
Girl, all I date is black men.
I've
so
been
guess what?
on your Latino side, have you before even growing up? Have you ever had on your Latino side someone be like, don't date a black person?
Yes.
So my mom,
for you.
My mom obviously married and had sex with a black man, therefore why I'm here. But I'm saying is like, she is open minded. She's like, yes, bring it on. You're like mama. You like black guys. Yes. Whereas my brother is like, no, you can't date. I'm like, what do you mean I can't? Boy, if you don't get the fuck out of here, like, do you know what our dad is? But that's the thing. We don't have the same dad. He comes from a different type of upbringing. His dad is El Salvadorian, so it's like a whole different mindset where it's like, oh no, the third world country, like, no, we don't mix with. Yes, and he's 40, and I'm like, like no, like I live here in the now, and I will date what and how I want. If I wanted to bring home a lizard and say, this is my man, bitch, you better motherfucking greet my lizard and say what's up to him. You better put some respect on his Geico.
I feel like
respect on Geico.
I feel like for so long things were silenced that now that because people have voices and because they're not scared to be heard, that's what's such a shock to the world.
Right.
Like people are like, oh my God, what, you're gay? Like, oh my God, what, you're
black
and gay? Oh my God, what?
Which
like, it's
this
like,
is what 2020 is.
We need that.
That's
what it is. Shake them as much as you can, because our children will not be like this.
Oh girl, no.
Our children will not stand for this shit.
I guarantee you this is what's gonna happen from
We're gonna be
2020.
a big melting pot and everybody's gonna love each other.
Generation Z and the TikTok world, they're all gonna be like, you know what, bitch?
You are what you are.
It is what it is. If you like an alien bitch, go date that alien,
fuck
sis.
that alien.
I will go to motherfucking Pluto and back, and bitch, it would be
I have
good.
a question for Jasmine. Mm-hmm. If you had a child and your child was gay, how would you feel about that?
I would. It would definitely be different, but I would just try to. I would try to accept it'd be different, but I won't. I definitely want to just be super open. Like, yeah. I'll just be like understanding. I can't say I'd right away just be like.
You'd be a mama too.
I would still, I'd be like, okay, it's different for me. I don't have anyone. I mean, I guess I have one person in my family, but it's something you gotta it's different, and I would try to learn it and go with it, and it'll be different. It's just something different, and I'm like, but I'll definitely just try. I would love him, and I'll just go with it. All I can say is it'd be different.
You have a big heart. I don't
It'd
see
be
you
different.
like shutting them
But
out.
it'll definitely be different for me. It'll be different.
I think it's hard to know unless it happens.
That's what I'm saying. It'll be different for me. Like, it's anything can be different. It's like, I'm not saying it's bad. It might be uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. I might be uncomfortable. Like, or you and your girlfriend, or you and your wife, you and your husband. It's just adjusting. Because most people are, or maybe not. I don't know the percentiles to anything, but I would go with it, and I would just ride with it, and I'd love my kid, but it'd definitely be different, and it'd take adjusting. I would tell them, don't judge me off anything. Like, I'm going with it, and I'm going with you guys. So
That's awesome.
I love that answer.
Do you think, because obviously, like, my ex-husband is very, like, he has black friends and everything, but he's very Latino, where
I didn't want to bring him up. So I didn't.
I'll bring him up.
I don't want to bring him. I don't want to put him under.
I'm just like let me just say, like, my dad, like my grandma, like everyone, my breed up period.
Okay,
People were
yeah.
very like, don't date a black guy, like, and was what.
I just don't want to throw
so
that
it's
under the bus
interesting.
like that.
No, I'm just saying period. So in our family, there's a big thing about Latinos. Like, my grandma was like so old school. Was like, my oldest, like the oldest, out of all the grandkids and everything that were able. Everybody had kids by black guys.
It's almost like
beautiful children, beautiful partners,
but it was
beautiful
interesting
women,
because
beautiful men.
The oldest one that had the first baby was with the black man, and I remember thinking, oh shit, like, how's my grandma gonna handle this? Like, is she gonna like talk to the kid or what? And at the end of the day, she
did.
loved the kid.
She loved,
and then she was very uncomfortable with the husband, the boyfriend.
She was
like, he was
awkward
never
around
like,
him?
yeah, she was like, but I mean. But
so again, this is a different time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay,
it's
so
still like educating educating new people.
We grow up, they teach us all these values and instill all these values into us. Now when we get to be the opposite, the adult, then we got to teach them, like, okay, this is how you be open-minded and into the new ways.
I actually had so I had an ex that I dated in college for 2 years, and he was black, and his family warmed up to me. Like, they didn't like me right away, and I became really close with his mom and his sister, and the only person that never warmed up to me was his grandma, and she was like, that white girl is not allowed in my house, period. And he was really close with his grandma, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I understood, like, that's his grandma. I don't know where she comes from. Like,
Did you try to win her over?
I literally was never allowed. Like, we got in arguments over it. He'd be like, he'd go to her house to get things, and he was really close with her, and he'd be like, babe, like, I'm not fighting this fight. Like, sit in the car.
You just cook macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, but I really was like, let me just, let me go inside. Let me, like, she can say what she needs to say to me. I'm not going to yell at her back. Like, I'm not going to fight. And he was like, no,
you're just very
I'm not
resilient.
going to fight this fight. Like, your mom likes me, your sisters like me. Like, it's okay. Like, she grew up in a different
But can you understand where, so you do understand where she was coming from?
I didn't. I never fought it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tolerant, and I was raised in a tolerant family. And
that's all that matters.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to love you, and I want you to love me, but like, I get it.
That's not the
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't want to push it too because I get it, and I can't understand the shit that she probably went through in her life to be like, I don't want this little white girl in my house, but it's her house. Like, I'm not gonna pull up on her and try and force it. And we broke up. We were together for 2 years. Like, it was great, but I never met his grandma face to face. I was not allowed in her house. I was just not allowed in there.
It's understandable though. I would feel like through everything that's
Well, you're welcome to my cookout.
Thanks.
Got some cornbread and some
Can I ask for everybody that is listening right now? Can I ask at the end of the day, would you say everyone's gone through the history, like every religion, not religion, but like what we all are, our races.
We've all been exposed.
The minorities have all been through this and that.
Yeah.
Would you think though that the Black community have gone through it the worst?
Yes.
Would you?
I think so.
Like they've been like that's what I want to
I
ask.
feel
That's
like
an
since
open question.
the beginning of history.
As a person that's both, I'm gonna
Yes.
say that I think that I would not want to just put it on that. Because I sympathize with Jewish
Everybody.
people. I sympathize with
Not Mexicans.
Vietnamese people for the Vietnam War.
So
I
everyone
sympathize
evenly has gone through.
Yeah, like because I'm not gonna pound on my chest and say, "Oh my God,
No,
the black side of me is like No, I'm not doing that. I sympathize with all people of all walks of life that have been through some shit.
I love that.
including my trans sisters and my
Yes,
friends
even sexual
from the
orientations.
Stonewall riots.
Amen.
That was a huge thing.
So glad you brought that up. I wanted to ask. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you is I've been seeing about the Black community, and then going back into that is okay. What about like the transgender in the Black community? So they were saying the Stonewall. People were talking shit about the riots now, and they're like, no, well, in the Stonewall riots, that's what made like they had like some come to that like the riots was what like as much as they probably didn't want to, like the riots really made a difference in the Stonewall.
Yes.
And I heard about it. I didn't really know too deep into it, but what would you say like it was that? Like what is Stonewall? And
the reason why all this falls into the perfect timing is because it is Pride Month. And because of the BLM movement that is now so up front and forward here, worldwide.
Yeah.
You know, there's BLM protests in Amsterdam, Sweden, all over the world.
Yeah.
Stonewall riots was basically the people in the
ice doesn't
LGBT.
come out of there. Sorry, continue.
Can I get a shot too?
And put your hand inside
The people in the LGBT community in New York used to privately like our West Hollywood. It was
Yes.
Stonewall.
Oh, so in New York it was called Stonewall, like
Yeah,
an area to like
yes.
party and stuff.
But we weren't allowed to congregate. We were not allowed to party. We're not allowed to congregate. We're not allowed to be.
So it was like a
ourselves.
city or just like a little area
It
called
was
Stonewall.
a very small suburb.
Like you just knew it was called
street
Stonewall.
Where you can go party underground
For
where
LGBT.
Anybody else LGBT.
LGBT. I got it. LGBT.
It was so like undercover, like all that, like because they try to keep it under wraps.
Yes.
What happened was that police caught on to the situation, and they started raiding the clubs, and not just raiding them, but like beating us up and like literally like putting us in jail because it was just illegal to do that. So enough was enough, and guess who was at the forefront of the Stonewall riots? Transgender women, people of color that said enough is enough.
There was a woman in specific too that I had been seeing posted
Yes.
consistently.
I don't know her name, so I don't want to quote it. But
but she made that she was the one who really was like rioting, like she was really like just going like.
Watch the movie Milk. It'll tell you the whole
Milk.
story behind it. Because there was more. It wasn't just, and the guy from Milk he was white, but he was gay.
Is it MILK?
Yes, and he was a writer for the Times at the time. So he was like, no, this needs to be like not only like diaried. I need to be a part of this. So it was a huge movement because it was like, and like what people are doing today. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna sympathize with us, if you're not gonna side with us, then let us teach you a lesson that you'll never forget. So let's rebel against you. So they destroy the city, and then look, here I am.
So all the
BT people that were being oppressed.
they all actually rioted though.
Absolutely.
like they were like destroying.
They
They're
fucked
like
some
let's
shit up.
let's fuck. Like they were rioting everything. Breaking like just like throwing things. Is that what it was?
It was
Like they were rioting everywhere, or
it
just only on that street?
No, it just what happened was on this particular day, people were actually celebrating Pride or whatever, and they came and raided the clubs again.
Oh.
So they're like, "You're not gonna fuck us. You're not gonna fuck with us on a month where we're supposed to be celebrating the fact that we're here and we're not bothering anybody." So like that's how the whole riot started, and they did not stop until eventually cops were like, "Well, fuck it."
Where was this at?
New York.
New York. And who raided it? It was the cops?
Yeah.
It wasn't just people, it was just the cops?
It was just the cops.
Shut up.
'Cause
I'd never
we weren't
heard of
allowed
that.
to congregate, so.
Wow, what time era was this? Do we know?
This is like,
Like recently, like 80s, 90s,
No,
or
this
like
is like
50s, 60s,
I want to
70s?
say 60s, 70s.
Oh, okay. Oh, so like back in like
Right
black and
before
white
the-
days.
Yeah, and right
black and
before-
white TV days.
Yes, and right before the AIDS epidemic.
Oh.
Oh, right
Damn.
around that time. So yeah, it was an interesting situation. But yeah, so that's why it's so privy for us to like be
Yes.
a part of. That's why it's such a. This is a pivotal moment in 2020 that we're doing this again, because now it's the BLM people
Amen.
and the Pride people, and we're collabing. And that's why I'm like, anybody that's an ally, anybody that's of color, anybody that's LGBT should be at this march and like literally be there and be
Yeah.
present and just show support, because I feel like we're at another Stonewall. This is like, it
Yes.
feels like it all over again.
It's like a new movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So like that's why I'm like, so I'm like, I told you, I like emailed all my friends and texted them. I was like, if you guys aren't there,
Yeah.
we are no longer friends.
Question on that, because I mean, I had my podcast last night, and you know, I was with Vanessa, and we were talking, and like, my question is this: like, what can we like? What do we do individually
Yeah.
to stop the injustice? Like, I get okay,
Or, like,
we're-
educationally.
If we go down a march, I get it. We're making like we're marching, but how is that going to change things in with like the judicial
Judicial.
area? How's this going to stop police
Jurisdiction.
brutality? Like is there a petition? Is there a court case? Like what is it that we're actually trying to achieve?
There's a bunch of foundations where you can donate.
Mm-hmm.
That's first and foremost. You can totally donate that, and I don't know about just money. You with a large platform, you can
Right.
donate yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your brand, and be an advocate for us and speak up and say, hey, you know, as a person that allies himself with some of the LGBT community,
Right.
I want to know if there's anything you guys need to promote. I can promote it on my social media platforms because you have the numbers. Also, obviously, then you can donate money as well. There's LGBT centers worldwide. You can also donate to them because they provide resources for people who are trans, gay, just anybody that's LGBT that is homeless. They provide housing for them. They provide
Okay.
jobs for
Wow.
them.
Right.
So these are all great points for you to get involved in. If you like, yes, marching with us is a great. That's a
Right,
great
yeah.
movement. But if you really want to be an ally with us,
Like
that's where it comes
I want to
from.
know what can I motherfucking do to make the change? Do you know
Right.
what I mean? Because I get
Absolutely.
like, okay, I can walk down a parade
Right.
because you know it's fun. It's a great crowd. We're gonna get wasted, right? I can
Right.
wear some fucking
You're like-
chaps with no underwear on.
You're like
But
administrative
at the
is what
end of
you
the
do.
day, like I want to know the solution.
A lot of things can turn into trends.
Like-
Like, oh, it's trendy. Like, let me just wear like
what can
and
we
march
do?
on the
Like
parade.
what can I do? You know, what can she do? What can she do? Like
For
how
sure.
can we change it though? You know,
For
like,
sure, even just educating the people that you deal with day to day,
Right.
when they use the wrong pronouns, when they use the wrong terms, like, hey, you know, that's not cool. That's not how that person should be addressed. Like it needs
I
like
asked you before this.
no,
too.
that's and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That by itself is a huge help because you're already educating someone else that doesn't know. You know, like especially with men. Men, a lot of people just use terms loosely, and they don't know. It's not their fault. Yeah,
don't even think
Yeah,
I
like terms as in
transgender
There can be a lot
or
of-
non-gender,
like
non-binary.
how would you actually address it and say it?
Exactly. And like check somebody, be like, hey, that don't say faggot. That's wrong. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like things like
Oh,
that.
okay.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the easiest, quickest, cheapest, and most efficient way to already start helping us and being an ally.
You know, there's a lot of petitions that are going around Instagram, and I've signed some, and I know there's also people are actually writing like kind of ready to go emails that you just put your name in to send to like the Minnesota Police Department and the government and different things. And like we've, you know, people that are keeping up with this have started to see like, you know, all the officers from the George Floyd case have been charged. And, you know, our mayor of California has slightly reallocated the budget to, you know, the LAPD. So the protests and, you know, people actually being outside is making a huge difference. But I
Huge.
also think a lot of people, even just sharing on social media and taking 2 seconds to sign the email or sign the petition, you know, they're really small steps, but they are making a huge change. And I also think, you know, actually getting out and protesting. I understand not everyone feels comfortable to do that, and that's totally okay.
Right.
But the people that are willing to go even just for a couple hours or in the daytime, or you know, I even loved, like, I saw Jasmine and I were driving in the valley the other day, and we just saw a small group of maybe 15 or 20 people on the corner with signs, because maybe they didn't feel comfortable to go to Hollywood with 2,000 people, but they were still had their signs up, and
It's a group,
we drove
like a
by,
good group, yeah.
it was nice to see that, you know.
Yes.
We're plugging in a link right now.
We're actually going to plug in a link right now, so you guys can go ahead and, you know, get educated and check it out and make a difference. But it really just takes, you know, a couple minutes.
I love that. Yay.
Just have that voice, you know.
She does.
Okay, so I want to bring up something because with the whole BML movement, I mean, everything is it's just heartbreaking, period. You know, and it's so disheartening. And at the same time, though, like, I have friends who are cops, who are good, solid ass motherfuckers who every day of their life, they're risking their life for our city. You know, for my family, for your families, you know, everybody's family, that when they leave their house, their wife or girlfriend, the wife, girlfriend or boyfriend, wherever it is, like, they're worried about, are they gonna fucking come home tonight? Yeah. Imagine, like, the stress of somebody's wife or husband to somebody who he genuinely in his heart is a good person. You know, because there are good cops. You
Absolutely.
know,
I can hear that, but there's been that argument all along. It's like, oh, but not all cops are bad. But at the same time, like, all cops need to stand together, and then it goes back to, like, the actual police force, like, who you're hiring and this and that. It's just like, you are together as a unit and as a group, and if one's bad, you're all bad. At the end of the day, like, you need to pick. There's always good people and there's bad people. Like, if there's one person bad in a group or something, like, they're gonna see you all as bad. And so I don't necessarily agree completely with that. Like, I get what you're coming from, Mama D, but at the end of the day, like, no, it's a group, and it's a unit.
I'm just,
you know what I'm saying?
Is,
like, it still plays off on the rest of them. It still does, and that's that.
It's during the rioting, looting.
Looting doesn't have to do with the rioting. I think they're separate.
Was part of the rioting.
Opportunists.
Okay, well, whatever it is, it all happened at one time. So why does half of these cops, they're getting like bricks thrown in, bashed, crashing their cars into them? Like, these are people that actually have families to go home to that have nothing to do with George Floyd.
Yeah.
Like, we're in LA. We're not in Minneapolis.
So we
Minneapolis. Like, I don't get, like, the thing is just educating people again.
So that's what I was thinking too.
Education.
That's good, Bradshaw, because
why hurt people that have nothing to do with just because
what do you have to say about it?
All transgender because maybe one talk shit to me one day.
Right.
What do you feel about it, Bradshaw?
Yeah.
So what I think is
the
same example I just used with the whole LGBT community, being proactive and being an ally and having this conversation with, like, just educating your friends. I think the cops that are of color that should know the oppression should sit down with the cops that are not of color and say, hey, just so you know, like, this is how we deal with our community, and our community is used to this. So you're going to already, because of what you look like, you're already going to be someone that they're, like, scared of, or like, let me be wary of that. So how all these huge corporations have these huge, whenever they've received a racist type of backlash for their company, they've always been like, we're doing private, like, lessons and teaching people how to be more inclusive and all that stuff like that. I think that needs to be a part of the hiring process for every cop. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, Asian. It needs to be a protocol like that says all around. Just
like racial
Same thing with even Uber drivers. I feel like they need to go through the same situation. It's like we're going into a stranger's car, and us bitches like us, we like to drink. So we're like, you know what I'm saying?
Do you guys agree that with millennials nowadays, I feel like we are very not far from racist, obviously, because millennials, I feel like we're very, it's open. So much interracial couples nowadays, and it's almost like, and we love the black community, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we love
every
black
inch
community.
of
They're
them.
beautiful. but seriously though, like, she's like, I feel like we are, like, I feel like we break not in every way, but
so we're clear.
It shows a difference.
It depends though, to be honest, it depends where in the country you live. And I think in LA,
but you come from Rhode Island, and you still, I mean, you've always.
But I think LA
specifically, you had relationships. No, I didn't know.
From Rhode Island.
I'm kidding.
Sorry, not Rhode Island. Sorry, Nantucket. Sorry, Nantucket.
No, but I do think in general that there are parts of the world that are farther kind of along as far as acceptance. And I think in LA, especially where we're in the entertainment industry, we potentially like are more kind of like culture friendly in that aspect. But I do think kind of in regards to what you were saying about the police, the issue that the people have is that when you put on that uniform, you are protecting laws that are potentially unjust. So it's not about bad cops versus good cops necessarily. If you actually read into why people are upset, it's when you put on a uniform, you have a certain duty to do your job. And you're protecting a system that was built on racism. No matter what. And built on injustice.
I saw a video clip. So you said it perfectly.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
And so that's really the issue is, I mean, yes, it's correct police training and not letting these psychos that are essentially getting away with murder because they're in a blue uniform, sure. But it's more so they're doing their job to protect and serve, but what are they protecting and serving? A system that wasn't set up to help minorities in the first place. So how do you expect a minority to respect anyone in a blue uniform if they're not here to necessarily, you know, cover laws that are for everybody? I think that's the issue.
I want to leave you with one thing before we go, because I know we're about to end it, and because it is still Pride Month and it just ties into BLM, I want to just say this. Do you know who Zaya Wade is? Dwayne Wade's daughter and Gabrielle Union's daughter. Okay, so she's trans and she just turned 13.
And fabulous. And check her out on IG.
Fabulous.
I want to leave you with this story. The fact of the matter is that her dad is a huge basketball player and her mom is a huge American actress.
Yes.
And they're black. And for these people to have this, for both her mom and dad have her back at the age of 13 when she's made a huge decision in her life to start then and now is amazing. And I'll leave you with this. The fact that they're going against everyone that's coming against their child, because at the end of the day, that's their child, regardless of what their child identifies as. That is a huge stepping stone for not just people of color, for people in the LGBT community, for people in general, because they're like literally going against celebrities, politicians. They're going against people that are just like, how can you endorse this? How can you endorse this? Because at the end of the day, that's their offspring, and love is love. Amen. And that's exactly why they should, and they should support their child.
But we should support everybody as if they are our
I'm just using that as an example because
but
that's
I do think like them, because they are such influential people, it is making a difference. Like they're showing like we accept.
Yeah.
But
imagine you know how much shit Dwayne Wade's getting just for being a basketball player and a black man.
I know, it's huge.
Like, can you just imagine how many people are like picking on him, saying your son, daughter, like that's it's
unconditional love, and then it's also like showing like not us, but like everybody kind of like
how to love each other.
Boom, and that was my point.
That's exactly what we need to do. Love each other as if they're your own kids,
right?
Or if they're your own.
Your last, right before we end, I love that you brought that up. How would you give advice to someone who's coming out, whether they're lesbian, gay, or trans, however they want to identify? Like, let's say they're right now, even in this moment, even if they're someone of color or even not color, like what would you give advice? Like, how did you really come into yourself where you're like, this is who I really want to be. This is me. This has always been me. And then, like, how do you give them like the confidence or advice to be like, just, this is you. Own it, rock with it, be strong for it, stand for it. Even if you are a person of color too, then even more so. Like, for their own, like, what's advice to them coming out? Because I'm sure it can be super.
The best advice is this: tune out all the noise. Tune out all the noise, the media, your families, what they say. Tune all that out.
That can be hard, though.
And it's not when you're fighting to be who you when you're just fighting to be who just you are. Just like that battle. That's an inside battle. That has nothing to do with you, me, anybody else. So once you have decided to just tune out all the noise, and say, this is who I am. I'm gonna be unapologetically me.
Yes.
And fuck how it makes anyone feel. Fuck how it, be ready to know that you're going to lose a lot of friends and family, because I did. Clients and all that
happened to you. You lost a lot.
Girl, as soon as I decided to do this, it was like, oh, I don't want to work with her. Oh, I don't want to work with.
To begin with.
Right. So my thing is like that. This is why it took me so long to come out as trans, because I started in the entertainment industry as Mr. Bradshaw. And as a celebrity fashion stylist that had a huge resume with a bunch of rappers, athletes in the urban and stuff like that. But as soon as I decided to be Mrs. Toni Bradshaw, a lot of them fell off. It wasn't the same anymore. But guess what? What I did was I set a security blanket for myself. I said, this will not be my bread and butter. I will not depend on you for my livelihood. Wow. I will set this right here, my store, and all the other talents that I know I'm great at as my security blanket so that I don't have to eat off of you. What I'll do is I'll make sure that my bag is so secure that I'll never ever have to question my reasoning why I now can live in my truth.
Amen.
That's so beautiful. It's from that.
And I want to share that with everyone watching me.
I love you. I know, it's so fucking good. I love you. And
you're an inspiration.
Thanks.
It's
you guys
really
are.
Hard. You're so strong and brave. It takes a lot to even communicate. Then again, to just come out and just be so strong with it and to tell people like what they need to hear. Like people are gonna listen to this and they need to hear it, and it's really gonna just,
even if it's just one.
It's my story, but it's your platform. So thank you for being an ally, and thank you for listening, and thank you for being a part of it, and just being so supportive. Good. Girl power! Yes.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. This really just got super huge. This was good. We covered a lot of things. Happy Pride Month at the same time. I'm gonna put in my bio where you can donate and when you can vote for certain places. I'm gonna put it in my bio. Is that what it's called, bio? Yes. I don't know if it's called bio. I'm new to YouTube still somewhat. So description. Subscribe, comment.
Subscribe.
Black Lives Matter. And we mean that because people are just trying to make it seem like it's something else, but
it's not a trend.
We mean it. We actually mean it. Talk about it every day. Yes. So love you guys. Thank you everybody for being here.
Thank you.